Today I'm going to do a full face of makeup using products that Emily Noel recommended during her year-end Emily Awards. So I'm going to go from this to this. So one of the things I really loved about her awards this year, that there were so many drugstore products in every category. She had some high-end products, but she also had a great assortment of drugstore products. And in today's world, with so many people, some are working, some are not working. I'm currently not working. You don't want to always be spending high-end dollars, but maybe you want to try something new. So let's get into it. So some of these things I had and I've used, and some of them I haven't. So I will include a little feedback as we're going through them. So I'm going to start off with some foundation, and today I'm going to use the Maybelline Dream Urban Cover. It's like a CC cream. One of the things that interests me about this is it has an SPF of 50, and the shade I picked up was 112 Natural Ivory. I have no idea how this is going to work out for me color-wise. A lot of times brands will say light with neutral undertones, or they have like a little bit more descriptive rather than just natural ivory, and a color swatch, which depending on your computer could or could not be very good. So I had to guess. And it might be a little on the light side, just judging from this first couple of dabs. But I'm okay with that because you can always deepen it up with a little bit of bronzer if it's a little too light. You can't go the other way if it's too dark. So if I'm ever like on the fence, I usually try and go a little bit lighter. So I'm going to use a damp beauty blender to tap this in. I actually don't think the color is too bad. So I'm going to let that set a little bit before I apply some powder, but my initial reaction is the coverage is pretty good. It did not settle into my pores. Like sometimes some foundations like settle into my pores and you look like you have like flesh tone blackheads on your nose. It did not do that, and I feel like the coverage is pretty good here around my nose. Now I have a rather hideous pimple right here that's crusty and just giving me a lot of grief. I'll see if the concealer does a better job of covering that. I don't think much is going to cover this because, like I said, it's pretty crusty. But that's real life. While that's drying down a little bit, yeah, it's pretty dry, but I'm going to let that settle a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and apply Emily's favorite eyeshadow primer, one she talks about a lot, and if you watch her, you probably are aware of this. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer, which is such a great buy, and I have used this off and on quite a bit. So this is just a little flesh-toned eyeshadow primer. What I like about it is it does help neutralize any redness you have on your lid, and it does a decent job grabbing the eyeshadow. Can't wait, I'm going to get my haircut tomorrow. I cannot wait. So I'm just going to tap that in until it really dries down. You know, if you are like me and you have a hooded eye, everything gets caught in the crease of my eyes. That's real life for me right now. I'm really liking this CC cream. So she calls this a CC or a BB cream. It doesn't say that on the packaging, but this is really lovely. I'm glad I picked this up. I usually do concealer under my eyes after I've done all my eye makeup. And what I want to do is I want to see if this concealer will help address our little visitor today. The concealer I picked up is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and the shade is Fair Beige. I think it helped. So there are two powders that I have in front of me. I have a loose powder from Maybelline Fit Me, and it's in the shade Fair Light. And then I have the L'Oreal True Match pressed powder, and the shade I have is W2, which is light ivory. And to say I love this would be an understatement. This is such a fabulous powder, the L'Oreal True Match. I'm quickly burning through this. I use this a lot. I sometimes even use it instead of like a powder foundation. I think I'm not going to use this, but I do really love it. And I'm going to just use this Maybelline Fit Me loose powder. I do not like this packaging at all. Like I remember to open everything up before I started filming, and this square packaging is just weird. But, you know, it's Drugstore. Let's see. Pretty nice. I wish it wasn't in such a weird package, because I feel like this is ginormous and maybe would be hard to travel with. I think I'm going to go on to the eyes. She had a bunch of different recommendations. I really wanted to try those $5 palettes from Walmart, the Profusion palettes. And, you know, I didn't want to order it and I felt like I would pay probably that amount again in shipping. So I took a gamble and I went to my local Walmart and picked it up, and really the only acceptable palette they had was the Bare palette. They had the neon and they had another really bright one. I maybe would have tried the violet one, especially after seeing this Bare palette, because it's not neutral and it's not cool. It's pretty dang warm. I'm not thrilled about that because I know I won't like a lot of the colors. I could go with these three and this one. They're probably the most neutral. So that's Polite, Compelling, Fine, and Tawny are the four colors that I think I'm going to stick with. You can see I swatched this one. Wow, look how that's showing up there. I washed all my brushes and I feel like some of them still have soap in them. So I hope I have enough here that are acceptable. So I'm going to start by going into this one. Fine, which is just kind of a middle tone, what I'm hoping is going to be like a transition shade. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes things look a little bit more neutral and then I put them on my eyes and they look very warm. This is one of those. Like, it looks a lot warmer on my eye than it does in the pan. Up under my brow, I'm going to go into the lightest shade, which is called Polite. It's a nice neutral for my skin tone. And then on the mobile part of my lid, I'm going to go into Compelling, which is this like shimmery shade here. And I'm just going to put that all over my lid. And then I'm going to go back in with that fluffy brush into Tawny, the darkest shade in this palette. And I'm going to go back over like what I put down as like my transition shade, because that is looking very like orange on me. And that I'm not a fan of. So let's see if I can't tone that down a little bit, deepen up this look. Just a little bit. So while I'm not a huge fan of the colors in this palette, they did go on beautifully. So if you're shopping in Walmart and you check out the Profusion palettes and they have some of the other colorways that might be a little bit, you know, that speak to you. I think the quality there is there. I think it's great. Great quality for the price. Like, hard to believe this is a $5 eyeshadow palette. I think it went on beautifully. There's a lot of pigment and it looks fantastic. No fallout. Really, no fallout. Always trying to decide what to do next. So I think I'm going to do my brows next. And the first thing I'm going to use is the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. And it has, you know, a roll-up point, a roll-up pencil side, and a spoolie on this end. I ended up getting blonde. Here is the blonde. I was really afraid that the next shade would end up being too dark. And this is okay. Okay, e.l.f., I see you. And then over it, she recommends Almeid Brow Styler for like a gel, like a setting gel. And it has a very teeny tiny thin little wand. And it does have a little bit of color. So I guess in a pinch, if you just wanted to use a little gel, you could. This is light brown. I had a hard time coming up with a swatch here. So I just dabbed the end a little bit in there. These make for some pretty dramatic brows for me. I don't usually have my brows quite this dark. I'm really undecided about putting concealer under my eyes because I feel like the coverage from the foundation is pretty good. But to fully test it, I probably should. So I am going to go ahead and do like I normally do, and I'm going to put a little eye cream on first. If you're old, you'll understand why I do this, because my under eyes are very dry and crepey. So I'm using the Kiehl's Creamy Eye Treatment. And I'm just going to do a couple little dots, very big applicator. I'm going to do a dot here, here, and that's like a little dot here. And then I'm going to use a brush to put this on, blend it in. This is the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer Brush. I rather like this. So I think I'm just going to blend a little bit with my finger and then go in with the brush. And that was probably a little too much concealer. Beauty blender to the rescue to like mop up some of that excess. Which I feel like it pulled up a little bit of the foundation. It actually went on pretty good. Just so you know, like, I never set my under eyes because that instantly ages me by like 20 years. I just let it set. I keep an eye on it and just let it set on its own, and that's how I deal with that. Let's talk cheeks. We're gonna go and do the cheeks, and she recommended a bunch of different products. The first one, this one I bought pretty much right away after watching because I thought it looked so beautiful. It's the Ulta Beauty Baked Sculpt and Glow 3-in-1 palette. This is the Tahitian Sunset. So it is like this. So you have a blush, a highlighter, and a bronzer. I love this. I think this is beautiful. And just to be able to travel with a 3-in-1, great. For today's demo, I also have the Milani Afterglow highlighter. This is in Strobe Light or 01. And because she talks about this all the time, I did pick up a CoverGirl Cheekers, and this is in Natural Twinkle. We're going to use all three of these. I think I'm going to go ahead and just use the bronzer here, and of course this is a little blush, and this is the highlighter. I know that's very extra and not something I would normally do. Normally I would just go, okay, let's just use this and use the blush and the highlighter here, which you could too. They're really beautiful. But for today's look, I'm just going to do a little bit of bronzer here. When you have bangs, do you do your forehead? I think this is a really pretty bronzer. It's not too orangey, has a little bit of glow in it. Super pretty. Then I'm going to hit it with the Cheekers Natural Twinkle. And then I'm going to finish up with a little bit of this highlighter. I don't own too many like standalone highlighters. I usually just use a really glowy blush or something that's in a palette like this. But wow, that's pretty. Super pretty. I like all of these. I'm going to go ahead and swatch this. So this top row is this palette. So this is the highlighter, the blush, and the bronzer. And then below it, this is the Cheekers blush and the Milani highlighter. I would say the highlighters are very similar. I do think this has more shine to it, like it's really shiny, but not glittery. Neither one of them are glittery, so this is definitely has a little bit more oomph to it. And I think this color is super pretty. So the next thing I'm going to do is use a little setting spray. This is probably one of the few like not drugstore brands that I have, and it is the Urban Decay All Nighter. It's a classic. It's reliable. It always does the job great. I always like to put it on before I do my mascara. I don't think it'll make the mascara run, but I'm always worried that it might. 3 things that she recommended. One is the Essence Volume Booster Primer. I have tried some Essence mascaras and really liked them, so this is, I'm excited to give this a go. I did pick up the IT Cosmetics Superhero. It's not drugstore, so I'm not going to use it today. I have some real feels about that. I'll share that another time. But from the drugstore, the Voluminous Lash Paradise is the mascara I'm going to use. And I have used both of these mascaras on and off, probably for about 2 weeks. Spoiler, they do not take the place of this L'Oreal Voluminous Butterfly Mascara, which I love. So I'm going to go ahead and curl, apply the primer and let that dry, and then I'll apply some mascara. I feel like these do not hold the curl. And I really struggle because I have one eye that has really long curly lash, and this one not so much. And I don't even curl this lash. I only curl this side, and it looks like it's beautifully curled, and once I apply product on it, it just goes kind of flat, kind of straight. And so then, you know, depending on the mascara that I'm using, I'll go back in doing what they tell you not to do, and I'll curl them again once the mascara has dried. I find with the Butterfly mascara, it dries quick enough and it is strong enough to hold the curl, not perfectly, but much better than any of these others that I've tried, including this one from IT. I actually think this one is even worse than the Lash Paradise. So with lips, there were like a million different categories, and there were a bunch that she's like holding them up, and I'm like going, yes, that's wonderful. Yes, that's wonderful. So I thought I would quickly go through those, and then I have 2 new products here that I haven't tried yet that I want to try. So let's just talk about some things that I know and love, and I'm going to share those with you. The first is this L'Oreal Color Riche Shine that this has this really pretty, like almost crystal packaging. I love the varnished rose. It's like my lips but only better. This is what I keep in my desk drawer so that it's always work appropriate. And it's moisturizing enough. I love this. It's one. I've probably on my 3rd tube of this. Just saying. I really love it. The other one is a little tinted lip balm from Nivea, the Blackberry Lip Care, which is fantastic. This is a nice amount of color, and it's a little bit reminiscent of the Baby Lips. Very similar to that. It has a light tint. It's very moisturizing, not terribly long wearing, but this is great for tooling around the house when you just want a little bit of color. So I highly recommend that as well. And then for more long-wearing lipsticks, she recommended to the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink that comes like this. My favorite color, I think I had to throw out because it was a little old, and that is Lover. It's more like a neutral pink, but this is, you know, from the drugstore, this is just awesome in terms of longevity, the price. Pick out a color you like. They're wonderful. If you really need like a lipstick that's gonna stay, really stay. But then about 2 years after that product launch, they launched this Maybelline Superstay in Crayon, which is like this. And it's like a hybrid. It's pretty long wearing, but it doesn't have that like liquid lipstick drying kind of sensation. And this has newly become my favorite. So, love this as well. Highly recommend both of those. Again, pick your favorite color. So I'm going to try the Milani Understatement Lip Liner in 110 Nude in Trance. So it is like a twist-up automatic lip liner. You can retract it. Would be a good like all-around nude shade. And then on my lips I'm going to use this ColourPop Just a Tint. It's like a balmy, like a tinted lip balm, and the shade is a Go-Go. Alright, that's just the lip liner. It's very soft and creamy. I don't know about you, but sometimes the lip liners are like, they are so hard that they actually hurt when you put them on, and it's just like, whoa. No, thank you. I think that's a beautiful nude shade. Like, this could probably go under almost any lipstick. However, I am going to just blot it a little bit because I want to put this on, and I don't want the color to be altered too much by the lip liner. There's so much to digest. So many good things here. Like, honestly, yes. I think the only thing that I didn't love were the mascaras that she recommended. A bunch of winners. Like, honestly, Emily, if you're watching this, great job. You made some awesome recommendations. Not that I ever doubted you. So I thought I would just go through what I think some of my like top 5 or 6 products were of the ones I tried. There really were no losers in the bunch. I do think that these little palettes are pretty awesome. I loved the little blush from CoverGirl, the Cheekers blush. Super pretty. This little palette from Ulta, great. The foundation, awesome, awesome, awesome. Love my True Match powder, and probably this L'Oreal Color Riche Shine lipstick, because I've gone through 3 of those already. I upload videos every Saturday morning, and I'll include a link to last week's video right up here. And in case you haven't watched the Emily Awards, I'm going to include a link to her playlist for her Emily Awards so you can watch everything that she presented at the end of the year, because there's a lot of great stuff. So congratulations to Emily, you did a fantastic job. And I'll see you real soon in my next video. Bye.